Hey everybody, welcome to the DDC Studios YouTube channel. This is DDC Studios owner and publisher, David Hayner. And today we're going to be doing part 3 of the secret origin of DDC Studios. But before we get that underway, I want to remind you to hit that subscribe button and also ring the bell for notifications. And if you're liking what you're hearing, please feel free to share us on all of your social media platforms, as just like in many comics, we are really relying on word of mouth to help this channel grow. Okay, now let's get underway with part 3 of the secret origin of DDC Studios. When last we left you, my buddy Chad and I were hanging out in downtown Des Moines, which gave birth to a really interesting comic book concept. Okay, now just to give you a little bit of a setup here, downtown Des Moines is, at least by Iowa standards, probably the most metropolitan area you will find in Iowa. There's a couple of other, I guess you call them cities that have downtown areas somewhat similar, but quite frankly, as far as a small-town Iowa boy from southern Iowa is concerned, Des Moines is about all there is. So as we're just kind of wandering around downtown Des Moines, hitting a few really cool vintage bookstores and what have you, both Chad and I kind of just joked around about a superhero based out of Des Moines going on Vigilante Patrol. And I'm not going to bore you with the details, but suffice to say, the idea did kind of snowball after that day. We used to, I guess I should back up a little bit. At this point in time, I was actually living with Chad and his wife, and we were constantly kicking around different ideas for a comic book for us to do, and we had a few okay ideas, but nothing really that made either one of our socks roll up and down at the thought of doing. They were concepts that, hey, we might get the halfway through the first issue, but that's probably about as far as we're going to go, because we're probably going to end up getting bored with it. But usually these brainstorming sessions would happen rather late at night, because Chad and I were both extreme night owls. So we would take leisurely walks at night when it was cool during the summertime around Afton, and we would jokingly refer to it as Vigilante Patrol, kind of continuing that ongoing inside joke between the two of us that started up in Des Moines. Well, while we were joking around about this, quite frankly, a comic book idea kind of ever so slowly came into being. And long story short, our idea was to do a rather massive, as far as cast-wise, comic book story that literally would spoof and satire every single superhero trope, along with quite possibly being the most offensive comic book ever made. We were literally shooting to offend absolutely every man, woman, and child on the face of the earth in one way, shape, or form. And literally nothing was off limits. Now, you have to bear in mind that this is shortly after the year 2000 when we're coming up with this idea. So things have definitely changed over the past 20 years. But at the time, well, just to be perfectly honest with you, the First Amendment was a lot more sacred to everybody. And also, to be perfectly honest with you, people had a better sense of humor back then. Because everybody we showed it to, yes, they were like, okay, yeah, this is going to piss off a lot of people, but they were also laughing. And that was really our whole goal with the comic book. Because, we had the perfect defense, at least in our minds, because the character that was made fun of the most and was the biggest jackass in the entire series was a superhero by the name of Nimbus, the white, straight, cis male, as he would be called today. He was pretty much our analogs, if you will. But as you're maybe seeing in some of these pages, the art was actually pretty good, especially by our standards. Much like with Black or White, it definitely was a team effort for working on Vigilante Patrol. Chad and I, of course, co-plotted the book, with Chad writing the dialogue. And then Chad would pencil the pages, and I would ink and then use actually gray Prismacolor markers to do kind of a gray wash on them, as we did some experimenting with the photocopiers and found out that these gray tones actually were picked up doing black and white photocopies. So we were able to do kind of a quote-unquote color book, if you will, but still only have to pay black and white copy charges. And then after I would get the pages colored, it was going to be up to Chad to letter them. Basically, it allowed him to take one final pass at the script for the dialogue that way. And much like with Black or White, we worked our butts off almost every single night. Once again, we would get home after work, crank up. Strangely enough, the Batman Forever soundtrack was like on a constant loop while we were working on this book. For some reason, those songs, it just really inspired us while we were working on this silly ass comic book. And where it gets really funny is we would time it to where, at the time, Cowboy Bebop was actually airing on Adult Swim. I believe it was the first run of it on Adult Swim, or it might have been the second run. I'm quite, hey man, I'm over 40 years old, so I'm old, and my memory ain't that great sometimes. But anyway, we would take a break, watch Cowboy Bebop, and also C-Lab 2021 as well. Laugh our butts off at C-Lab, just be blown away by the animation and the storyline of Cowboy Bebop, and then once that was over, we would get right back to work. And after about a month and a half of rather steady work, we actually basically got the first issue done. But just like with Black or White, that's where the problems began. I have a feeling you all are finally starting to see a little bit of a pattern emerge to where you might possibly see why, honestly, it took over 20 years for DDC Studios to actually get up off the ground. And that problem is Chad just was not ever totally happy with the script. He would show me snippets of dialogue here and there, and they were fantastic. I'd throw out a few suggestions maybe here or there, but as a whole, what he was writing, I thought, was phenomenal. But as time went on, the dialogue just was not getting finished. And at this time, I was then concentrating on really trying to get Dillard off the ground. Because quite frankly, my work was done. I had all of the pages inked, and had them all quote-unquote colored with the gray markers, as you're kind of seeing with the pictures here. But nothing was happening. And Chad, God love him, it was the first emergence of something I kind of started to become aware of, that I don't think Chad ever really was comfortable finishing a project, because at the same time he was doing some other artistic type projects. Pretty much the entire time I've known him, he's worked on novels and short stories and whatnot, and unfortunately none of them ever actually get completely finished. And that's I'm not trying to smear the guy's name or anything. That's just a fact of life. There are a lot of creative individuals that are that way, and hey, that's totally fine. But I'll be perfectly honest. After about 6 to 8 months, I just gave up on ever being able to see Vigilante Patrol ever actually see the light of day. And well, here we are, we'll just call it 15 to 20 years later, and I'm still waiting on Chad to finish the dialogue on the comic. And unfortunately, I've approached him a few times to say, hey, dude, can I just take a pass at the dialogue? Let me see what you have written, and we'll go from there. Because, let's at least, for the love of God, get this book done so, it's just us and our friends and family can see it. But, he's not interested in doing that at all. And that's totally cool because, the property is half his and half mine, But to me, it's kind of sad that what you're seeing here is probably the only thing as far as Vigilante Patrol the world's ever actually going to see. And that does make me sad. But with that said, there will actually, starting with this next video, we're actually going to start seeing a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. After a few false starts, things are actually going to kind of start to happen, I guess you'd say, with the concept that would eventually become DDC Studios. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. And as always, I want to thank you ever so much for listening. Please feel free to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. We'd also appreciate if you'd leave a comment down below, good, bad, or otherwise, as Dylan and I welcome any and all feedback we can get for this channel to try to make it as good as we possibly can. We're trying to be the best mini comics channel on YouTube right now. And also, if you check out the description down below, if you're interested in checking out what we have to offer at DDC Studios, you can hit the Webstore link where we have all of our currently in-print DDC Studios mini comics for sale. And you can also pick up some sketch cards and even commission a custom sketch card of your own. And also, please feel free to hit our Teespring t-shirt store, where we have the choice right now of 3 different official DDC Studios t-shirts. You have your choice of the official DDC Studios logo t-shirt, a domain logo t-shirt, and also a Black Owl emblem cosplay style t-shirt. And those are available in every size and are just $20 a piece. And finally, feel free to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, where you can get updated on all things DDC Studios and lots of mini comic shenanigans on both of those. And also, we do have a policy. If you follow us, we will follow you back. All right, we're going to have another video up for you here in just a couple of days. It's going to be part 4 of the secret origins of DDC Studios. So thanks a lot for listening, everybody. Bye.